And I think one of the most painful parts is that the trauma that our ancestors have lived through is genetic. Like, it's not, no, oh God, it's not genetic to them, but we keep it genetic. Like, it's in our DNA. Like, we feel the trauma, which is why when people are just like, oh my God, get over it. You can't. Because I still live the trauma that my parents and my ancestors went through when one day they woke up in a new country. Right? Our Native and Indigenous siblings still live through the trauma that their ancestors went through. Right? And when we don't talk about our history in a manner that is truthful, painful, and honest, we're still reliving that trauma all the time. And it's one of the things that this country needs a therapy session, right? I think we need like a couple of sessions. But like, we need to be in therapy with each other. And I don't mean like, you know what I mean? Like, we need to be honest about what this country has done. Because if you don't know me, you will now. But if you don't know me, I talk about this all the time. I am in therapy a lot. And my therapist goes to a therapist, and I go to therapy for my therapist. Like, there's a lot of therapy that goes on in my life. So, but it's because I understand that I don't have the tools to fix what has been broken by others. I don't have those tools, right? Like, we take our kids to teachers because they have the tools to educate our children. We take them to doctors, we take them to nurses. We ask questions, and we're just like, okay, let's make sure that they're not fucking up our kids. But like, the reality is that we don't have all the tools to do all the things all the time. Remember that 100%? So I think one of the things that we as a country need to reckon with is that we are a violent country. And a lot of people sort of don't like it when I say this, but as Joel has said, I don't care. How many of you have heard the idea that we just need more people of color in blank? Right? We need more people of color in education. We need more people of color as nurses. We need more people of color as this, that, and the other. And I say no, we don't. What we need are more white allies disrupting the culture of white organizational supremacy so that our black and brown people can enter that culture and not be re-traumatized every effing day. Have you ever gone to a K through 12 system school and talked to the one teacher of color that's in the building? You have?
They're like the token teacher, right?
Well, not only are they the token teacher, but they're also the racial equity lead. Mm-hmm. And they're the family resource person, and they're also the auntie, and they're also the translator. I've never met someone in the school that speaks all 187 languages. So what are you translating? What are you translating? So they're everything. They are everything. They are the ones that will look at your calendar and say, you can't have a meeting during this month in the day with food, because if you have Muslim parents, they're not going to be able to eat. Respect that. They're the ones that say, hey, we have a couple of people that really are very conservative with their culture. We need halal food. Observe that. I was just talking to my colleague where I mentioned to somebody that we cannot have a meeting on at 5 o'clock on Yom Kippur. And they were just like, you sort of take the equity a little far.
Well, you don't take it far enough, right?
Equity is uncomfortable. Equity is uncomfortable, but only to the people who have privilege. Because equity to the people that have dealt with oppression, racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and ableism, equity feels like home. So the reason that I'm not the first proponent to say we need more people of color in the classroom is because that is fucking exhausting. Because you have 15 jobs with no power. You're not getting paid for 15 people. And also, why are we not getting paid for 15 people? So when you see that one person of color in the classroom, one person of color, sometimes it's the janitor. And no shade, you work, you get your money, you get your coins the way you get your coins. But like, why are we putting people of color in the position of ending institutionalized racism when it's not our effing problem? We didn't create it. We have to live through it. We have to survive it. And we have to figure out how to thrive past it. But we didn't create the problem. Dear white people, it is your job to end institutional and systemic racism. It is a daily struggle. And I want to say this to you so that you don't feel alone and like, oh my God. Institutional and systemic racism is so incredibly involved, so incredibly in our system that I struggle with it every day. I run an organization, 95% of my staff are people of color. 100% of my board are people of color. And we get called out on our institutional and systemic white organizational culture every day. Every decision I make, I question. Am I perpetuating white culture? And it takes me, sometimes I make decisions really fast, and my team is just like, no, we're not doing that. That's how we started the conference. I was just like, oh no, we should have a conference, it's gonna be easy. And my special events manager was just like, really? It's gonna be easy? What are you gonna do for it? Like, what are you gonna do about it? I'm like, that's why I have a special events manager. And she's like, oh, got it. So it's gonna be easy for you, but not easy for me. And the same thing with the internet at the beginning of COVID. Like, I never thought, right? We're living in a very comfortable place. My husband works in technology, so when he got the shutdown call, he got a call from his company who was just like, okay, so we're sending you some money, you Amazon what you need. So I sent my team money. I was just like, here's $100. For all of you. And they were just like, So they were just like, okay, we can get snacks. I was like, get that like pillow lumbar support? They're like, no, we need an actual. My husband got $1,500. Wow. For what was supposed to be a 2-week shutdown. And then he was just like, am I gonna get $1,500 every 2 weeks? And they were just like, I mean, we don't know what the shutdown's gonna. I was like, I wanna work in tech. But then like I heard his job, because obviously I have Zoom voice. And I don't wanna work in tech. But we all live in privilege. We all live in white organizational culture. It is constant. If you take one day, take a piece of paper, notebook, whatever, and you watch media, social media, traditional media, print media, and you tick how many times you see a white person in a place of pleasure, wonder, amazement, doing great things, and you do the same experiment for people of color, enjoying life, living well, positive messages of people of color, you're going to see that we are institutionalized to see white people in a better light than we see people of color. Which is why some of these shows that show the reality of people of color, whether you're Native, Black, Latinx, whatever, when they show the reality and they show the wonder and beauty that is our culture, is so amazing that they shut it down. But like, you know, how many people have watched Abbott Elementary? Abbott Elementary? Or like even the George, like, I'm gonna date myself, but like the George Lopez show.
Yeah.
Right. But those shows will envision and will show, or like, well, you know what I'm talking about, like the shows that are centrally cast by people of color for people of color. Those shows embody both the hardship of our communities, but the beauty. How often do we talk about the assets that our communities bring to the table? I mean, think about it. When was the last time you went to an educator, a doctor, a nurse, and they asked, how can I help you be your best? They're often asking, what do you need? And how exhausting is that question? What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? God, what are you gonna take from me? Because that's what they're asking. What are you gonna take from me? What do you need that I hold, that I can give you? So I know that the room got really quiet and people were just like, oh God, we're starting the day on a depressive note. But the reason I go down this road is because COVID showed the worst of all of us. It was also during a very slightly tumultuous political time. So,
What do you mean?
I'm just saying, we might not all be going to Thanksgiving dinner if you celebrate together and not like, I mean, it was bad before that, but like, I feel like 2016 to 2020 has just been like, oh God. So the last 5 years-ish, right, have been really hard. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is, where you sit on the conservative, liberal side, it doesn't matter. It's been hard. It's just, right? Everybody's just like, I can't do this anymore. And we've all been living in a state of panic and anxiety for years. And I've never seen our communities come together so fast, so quickly, except for the toilet paper thing. People were losing their minds over toilet paper, and I was just like, I felt like a crack addict, because I was going in street corners. Anybody got toilet paper? You got toilet paper? Anybody got toilet paper? Who's got toilet paper? $5 for toilet paper. Toilet paper. I will take whatever, 1 ply. Oh my God, I will take whatever you have for toilet. And then my husband was just like, we got a bidet. I was like, a bidet? Yeah, he bought a bidet. If you don't know what that is, Google it. But also P-I-D-E-T. But also, why has he not installed the bidet yet? Like, I'm living in oppression. But I mean, let's think about it. How many parents came together and were just like, schools are shut down, we don't have internet, oh my God, I don't know what we're doing. Let's bring our kids together and create education pods. Mutual aid organizations, mutual aid systems, mutual aid, whatever. We started a statewide mutual aid. My team was just like, nobody has masks. So we were just like, great, let's do it, whatever. Nobody was gonna talk about education policy and funding at that time because everybody was fucking dying. So we were just like, let's transition. I don't use the word pivot anymore because I'm tired. So,
Can't spend that fast.
and also, like, everybody pivoted, and I was just like, I don't think you quite know what that means. So we transitioned. We were just like, got it. So we created something called Partners in Change. I hired a new person. It was just like, I don't know you, I've never met you. One day we're gonna meet in person. Whatever, great, this is awesome. So what do? Started Partners in Change April 2020. By the end of April 2020, we had handed out 130,000 masks, 1,500 gallons of hand sanitizer, Remember we were all making hand sanitizer at home? Like I don't know about you guys, but I was taking my tequila bottle and mourning, crying. I'm gonna make hand sanitizer. And my husband was just like, there's always gonna be alcohol. I was like, but we can't leave the house. Get me some toilet paper. And he was just like, but it's only gonna be 2 weeks. And then Memorial Day happened, 2022. It's only been 2 years. So we started Partners in Change. Suddenly we had thousands of people of color calling, rural, suburban, urban, suburral, which is the thing. Evidently I live in suburral, unincorporated King County, not quite sure, whatever. Suddenly everyone was calling, we don't have this, we don't have that, how do we get this? Food, why do we have to use the internet to get food from our school district? I don't have the internet. How am I supposed to get food? The Google Forms, folks, if you take anything away from this one keynote, do not use the internet to ask people about their usage about the internet. Why?
Because those
Why?
who have it can give feedback.
Why? Don't use a tool to ask people if they have the tool.
Yeah.
Also, don't assume that everybody has a car. Don't assume that people don't have to use public transportation to get to multiple jobs. And they still have to pick up boxes of food for their kids. And the PTA was very proud of itself in my district, but I live in a school district, so like, anybody in Kent? It's my problem child. Kent was just like, okay, we're gonna hand out boxes on Monday. Okay, but kids are hungry on Tuesday. And people work on Mondays. Like, we still had essential workers. And my mom is a nurse, so I'm very sensitive to the essential worker thing, right? Because my mom was still working. My mom's 73. She was still working at a nursing home in New York when she heard that we had Corona here. And I knew that she was getting excited. I was like, no. It's not that kind of Corona. It is not that kind of Corona. She was just like, I heard you guys have Corona. I was like, no, we have IPAs. She's like, I don't know what that means. It's skinny Corona. So my mom was just like, my dad also called me the day after we passed pot law, and he was just like, I'm coming to visit forever. I was like, no, Cheech, no, this is not happening. So, I know, okay, the millennials are just like, what the hell, what is a Cheech? Google it. There's a TikTok about it, go find it.
Oh my gosh.
Right here. She just Googled it. I used to be the youngest person in the room. And then Corona. So I'm very sensitive to the